Hello, my name is Csaba Csordas and I'm responsible for channel and alliances for Hyperproof in Europe. Today I'm going to review the latest IT risk and compliance benchmark for 2026. This report was created interviewing more than 1,000 GRC professionals from CISOs, risk and compliance officers across the UK, US and Canada. People running these programs day in, day out. And this gives us a really good snapshot of where the industry is today and where it's heading. I've been reviewing this morning to get some real data to my partners and to refresh some of the conversations that we're having recently. Now, obviously there is a lot of information here and a lot of insights that I cannot cover all, but I want to focus on 3 key trends that can be turned into real opportunity for partners. The first one hit me straight away. Organizations look so mature on paper, but they're drowning in manual work underneath. I will also touch on the AI governance gap and the European regulatory wave, but honestly, the finding I keep coming back to is around the third-party risk, because that's where the strongest commercial opportunity sits for partners right now. I saved that one for the end. So let me start at the beginning. So when we look at how organizations are approaching risk and compliance, we found that 86% now have a centralized GRC function. That's absolutely amazing. If we look at this number a few years back, it was significantly lower. So there's a clear top-down driver behind this. Organizations are investing in building these teams and getting these numbers up. However, if we look into the details, more than 3/4 of the people who answered told us no matter how mature they believe their GRC programs are, they are spending 1/3, if not more, of their time on manual, time-consuming tasks. Data entry, chasing people across different departments, switching between various systems. That's a number that hasn't moved since last year. It's been institutionalized and is a common problem across the industry. I had a conversation recently with a smaller cyber consulting firm, roughly around 40 employees, and they've been telling me that it's quite often they go into organization where there's kind of this war room, frameworks on the wall, policies, conversation drivers. It's all over the place. However, they are still running around like headless chickens 3 weeks before the audit. And this report confirms this, that this is not a unique case. Now, here is when it gets commercially interesting. If you are managing risk properly with integrated tools, automated workflows, about 1 in 4 organizations get breached. If you are winging it, ad hoc, reactive, firefighting, 1 in 2. It's double the risk. And this isn't a one-off finding. The report been showing the same pattern for the last 3 years straight. And the consequences of getting this wrong is not theoretical anymore. Obviously, here in the UK, we had some really good examples from the last year. Look at JLR. In September, a cyber attack shut down production, all their UK plants for 5 weeks. 5 weeks. £1.9 billion in estimated damages to the UK economy, and it's still counting. 5,000 businesses in the supply chain affected. Even the Bank of England flagged it as a drag on GDP. Or if we look at Marks and Spencer in April, 300 million in lost profit. Their share price dropped 12% overnight. People across the country were struggling to get their bread and milk from the shops. Online operations down for nearly 2 months. And while M&S was scrambling to get back online, Next raised its profit forecast 4 times, crediting competitor disruption. These aren't abstract case studies. These are household names, major employers, and the pattern is the same one from the benchmark, what data shows. The organizations getting hit hardest are the ones where the processes are manual, fragmented, or reactive. So if we summarize, organizations are centralizing their GRC functions, they are improving structure, but they are failing to operationalize their workflows. They spend money on tools, but they've forgotten the bit that actually makes it work. Internal education, transforming how teams actually operate day to day. And this is a clear opportunity for partners to get in to help organizations transform their operation. Design these programs, enable the workflows, and make sure that everybody across the organization, regardless of their function, is on board. Now, since everybody is talking about AI and how it's transforming the way we use technology, thankfully, AI governance has also moved from nice to have to something organizations are actively doing. But the execution is very, very uneven. ISO 42001, the NIST AI risk framework, the EU AI Act, these are showing up at levels in this survey that tells you this isn't early adopter territory anymore, especially in Europe where regulatory pressure is moving fast. And it's not just AI. NIS2 is accelerating across multiple member states. Certain member states already adopted, others are close behind. We have DORA that has been fully enforced for more than a year now, and the Cyber Resilience Act starts to enforce this year. And what's really important here, that under NIS2 and DORA, senior management can be held personally liable for the failures in cybersecurity oversight. Fines are up to 10 million euros, if I'm not mistaken, or 2% of global turnover. This is not theoretical anymore. But when you look at how organizations are actually assessing AI risk from their suppliers, which, let's be honest, is where most of the AI risk actually lives for an average enterprise, the approach are all over the place. Some have dedicated frameworks, some are bolting on AI questions into their existing vendor assessment, and the meaningful chunk are just relying on the vendor self-report. I had a conversation with someone recently who told me, yeah, we ask our vendors if they are using responsibly AI. And you know what? There's a tick box. Yes, that's basically it. That's not a risk management, that's a hope. So for cyber consultancies and advisory partners, if you can package a credible offering around AI risk and the European regulatory readiness, NIS2, DORA, EU AI Act, and give clients a repeatable way to evaluate and monitor risk in their supply chain, you're walking into a market that knows it needs, but it hasn't figured it out how to do it yet. So here's the finding that I said I saved for last. And honestly, this one is coming back to third-party risk. 94% of respondents say they follow best practices for managing supplier cyber risk. Sounds great, right? But when budgets get tightened, the number saying actually no, we don't follow those best practices jumps from 5% to 23%, which tells you these programs are held together with good intentions and not much else. And the third of these organizations are still using spreadsheets as a primary tool for TPRM. Obviously, this is not new across risk management. I was in a meeting recently with a prospect, largish organization, a couple of thousand employees, and they were genuinely proud of their vendor risk program. They showed me their tracker, a Google sheet with over 400 rows, nicely color-coded, very pretty to be honest. But when I asked When was the last time you reassessed your top 50 critical vendors? There was a pause. And then someone said, we did that when they onboarded them. Some of these vendors had been onboarded 3 years ago. The world has changed somehow since then. And think about what JLR and M&S tells us here. Both incidents had supply chain dimensions. The M&S breach came through a trusted supplier. JLR had been compromised earlier through a stolen third-party credentials. This is exactly the risk that falls through the cracks when TPRM is manual and episodic. Now, here are the good news for MSSPs and service partners. Organizations whose IT risk is managed by an MSSP report the highest maturity scores in the entire dataset. 71% say very mature versus 32% for those doing it manually. MSSPs delivering a TPRM as a service aren't filling a niche. They are filling a structural gap that most organizations simply cannot close internally. The demand is there. 70% of organizations have a GRC budgets over $1 million. And the proof that external management works is right there in the data. So the bottom line is, your clients have the budget. They have the mandate. If you are in Europe, the regulations are not slowing down. What they don't have is the bandwidth, the expertise to operationalize it without help. Wherever you are a consultancy helping organizations to transform their operations, a cyber firm advising on AI governance and regulatory readiness, or a MSSP delivering managed risk as a service, the opportunity isn't coming, it's already here. The question is wherever you are packaging your services to meet it. If you found this useful, hit the like button, and if you want more insights on how the latest trends and news are shaping the channel landscape, give me a follow. I keep breaking these down so you don't have to.